New power and reign also came the responsibility of concessions of oil that had been given to William Darcy, located all around the small village of Abadan, several years before. The Shah ordered his prime ministers to find a better company to man the concessions. Unable to carry out the Shah's wishes, he destroyed the Anglo-Persian and Darcy files, ending the agreement. The British were outraged by the Shah's decision and then saw their chance to go to the League of Nations to ask to obtain more power over Iran, because the British wanted more control over the Iranian government. The British promised to improve the working conditions in Abadan as long as the Anglo-Persian Oil Company agreement between Iran and Britain was extended. The oil company was renamed the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company in 1935, and later, in 1954, the oil company was renamed again to BP, or the British Petroleum Company.
In 1933, when the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company was finally stable, the British forced Reza Shah to step down for 8 years so he would not pose a threat to the company's success. Reza Shah was also exiled to South Africa. With the absence of the Shah, the amount of oil the company extracted rose from 6.5 million tons in 1941 to 16.5 million tons in 1945. And in 1946, the Iranian labor movement began with a strike. People pushing for better housing, better health care, and better working conditions. Instead of fixing the problems, the British created their own unions to deal with the agitated people. While the Shah was not present, the Majlis increased power and passed a law forbidding further concessions of foreign companies in 1947. Mohammad Mosaddegh, the writer of the law against further concessions to foreign companies, strongly believed in the interests of the Iranian people. Mosaddegh also believed that Iranians must rule themselves and not submit to the will of foreigners.
And during this time, Reza Shah's son, Mohammad Reza Shah, rose to power, taking over his father's throne. During the Mohammad Reza Shah's rule, the Tudeh Party was founded in 1942. The Tudeh Party was the first Iranian political party. The group believed that the Iranian people should not be subject to rich exploitation. Some members of the Tudeh Party won elections in the Majlis and helped reform working conditions in Iran. The Soviet Union felt threatened by their notions in reforming Iran and wanted to create their own strike. But Stalin did not follow through. In 1945, Mohammad Reza Shah was seen as the puppet Shah of Iran during this time because his power was supported by the British and the United States. The rage of the people also grew during the grossly unequal terms under which the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company operated. Hatred toward Mohammad Reza Shah grew, and he had experienced an assassination threat that failed. But Mohammad Reza Shah did get shot through the right cheek, but later recovered. The supplemental agreement was introduced, which guaranteed the Anglo-Iranians' annual royalty payments would not drop below $4 million. But the agreement did not give Iranians a greater voice in the company's management.
In the 1950s, the idea of the nationalization of the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company emerged, causing controversy between the Shah, who supported the nationalization, and those who opposed it. The Shah is in favor of nationalization to maintain his power and support from the British as the puppet Shah, while others, such as the Majlis and the Tudeh Party, were against the nationalization of oil because they did not want the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company in the hands of the British and the United States. The Iranians wanted greater voice in the oil company and wanted the Iranian government to have complete control of their oil and its distribution. With the Majlis, the Tudeh Party, and the Iranians in support of democratic Iranian government, the United States started to intervene. The United States still wanted to prevent communism, which increased the United States' involvement, leading to the coup d'etat of 1953.
The British espionage started in 1953 and began when Mohammad Mosaddegh visited the United States to contest oil nationalization in Iran. At this time, the United States played a neutral role in the fight between the British and Iran. But the United States were in fact leaning towards supporting the British because they wanted to prevent communism in Iran. Following Mossadegh's visit to the United States, the British planned a coup to overthrow Mossadegh, leaving no higher Iranian personnel to pose a threat to the idea of oil nationalization. But instead, Mossadegh managed to free Iran of British control temporarily, only to summon them back to help them produce oil once again. The British espionage then led to the United States espionage under Dwight D. Eisenhower. After the death of Harry S. Truman, the United States then planned an American coup to overthrow Mossadegh. Eisenhower agreed, but he wasn't entirely sure about the plan. With the coup underway, the CIA and the SIS were set into motion. The CIA were the lead contributors in Operation Ajax, which was a covert American operation along with the Pahlavi dynasty to overthrow the Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh. The leader of the operation was Kermit Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt's grandson to be exact. Mossadegh refused to back down, but he had little say in the matter, and Operation Ajax was a success.
Today, Israel is threatening to attack Iran, fearing their nuclear progress. It's unclear whether Iran does have nuclear bombs, but we are sure of their nuclear power. Dravadidajad.
What? I thought it was Ahmadinejad. Isn't he the guy who said they were only using nuclear power for medicine?
No, it's Dravadidajad. And yes, he was the only one who said Iran was using their nuclear power for medicine.
Also, the United States want to avoid nuclear warfare and keep peace among nations in the Middle East. But the United States does not want a nuclear-armed Iran. They are still threatened by the al-Qaeda attacks of 2011. So, today there are still tensions between Iran and the United States. Breaking news from CNN. We are here today with Christine C. Quinn and Dravadidajad, all the way from Iran, to talk about Iran's nuclear dilemma.
All he will do on stage is spew more hatred and more venom out there in the world. And in regards to Israel posting a threat on Iran, I think they have every right based on what Ahmadinejad has said.
I think Israel should be wiped off the map and should be accomplished without violence.
The president of Columbia University, Lee Bollinger, couldn't be here today, but he wanted to ask, why is your government providing aid to terrorists? Will you stop doing so and permit international monitoring to certify that you have stopped?
Well, I want to pose a question here to you. If someone comes and explodes bombs around you, threatens your president, members of the administration, kills the members of the Senate or Congress, how would you treat them? Would you reward them, or would you name them a terrorist group? Well, it's clear. You would call them a terrorist.
I'm Kristen Sequin, signing out today here on CNN. I'm a did, Dravadid, Dravadid, Dravadid,